Thank you everyone for your patience, and thank you for being here this afternoon, and welcome to the summer term 2023 ScenicView Graduation. One of the things I love about ScenicView is we give the options to our students as to whether they want to sit on the stand or not. And everyone opted to not sit on the stand this time. Usually it's about 50-50, but just for the sake of making sure everyone's clear, can we have our graduates present please stand? All right, yes. This is Max Jones and Philip Ng and Colton Weekly and Stephen Hurst, who is in Alaska. If Stephen's watching this, this is for you too, Stephen. I'm originally from Alaska. I'm Jared Stewart, program director here at ScenicView. Grew up on Kodiak Island. Max was asking me about prom, and now I've got all kinds of Alaska flashbacks coming back. But one of my most traumatic experiences in high school was going to high school graduation. There was only about 70 of us graduating, because it's an island in Alaska, and I would not have gone except for two things. One, my mom forced me, and two, this girl had asked me to sing with her at graduation, and I was like the only senior who had any experience in choir or anything that could sing, and I, being an 18-year-old boy, said, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll totally do that, because you're good looking." So I didn't say that last part, but I did think it. And then on the stage at graduation in high school, I completely froze. And thankfully, she had to start the song off. And then she completely froze and couldn't sing at all. So then finally I sort of picked up, and it was, to this day, if there's any extant videos of that graduation song, I would pay any amount of money to have them destroyed. Any amount. You need to understand that it's any amount of money I actually have, so don't get too excited. But I've always hated graduations. I never went to my undergrad bachelor's degree graduation, and then I got my first master's degree, and it was online, so I'm like, I'm not going to that graduation. And then I got my second master's degree, and they're like, you should come. I'm like, and I never, if I can avoid graduations, I do. But I'm so thrilled to be at this graduation, and I'm so thrilled that you guys are here. And the difference is it's not about me. It's about you guys, and that's what makes it so much better. So we are excited to have you here. We're excited to get going with our program, and we will proceed pretty much as it says in your program, because why would we have a program otherwise? Marty Matheson, our executive director, will be giving some opening remarks. We will then have the graduates and their speaker come up one at a time, and their speaker will say very nice things about them. And then the graduate will have an opportunity to speak if they want to say anything, and if they don't, that's totally fine too. This is a very low-key graduation, the way graduation should be. We're here to celebrate. We're not here to make people feel embarrassed or awkward or, anything like that, or traumatized. And then we'll have some final bits with Carrie Bushman and photos, and I'll say some words, and we'll have some refreshments in the back. So we hope to be out of here about 5 o'clock. But again, thank you for coming and for being a part of this. Graduations are very unique. Our graduates today are very unique. And in fact, they're 3 amazing students, and I absolutely adore them in very different ways, but they are completely different from each other. Colton and Max kind of go to the same barber, but I don't know, kinda, almost. But every graduation should be unique, because graduation just means step. That's all it means, right? A graduation is a step or a gradation. And so graduation is our chance to say, hey, wait a minute. We took a step here, and let's celebrate that step, because life just happens. And other than day and night, there's not a lot of punctuation to life. It's just goes, 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 goes. Graduations, I've always thought, are kind of silly and meaningless, but they're not, because that tradition, that ceremony says we're going to stop and we're going to celebrate this moment. We're going to celebrate this step, because something about it is inherently valuable. And I really believe that the steps you guys have taken at ScenicView, however small it may seem, are incredibly valuable And what's even more valuable is celebrating the next step of your life as you graduate, because they also call graduations commencement, and because it's the beginning, and that's what this is. So thank you for being here to celebrate a step and to celebrate the beginning and the next steps. And without further ado, let's have a hand for Marty Matheson, our Executive Director.
Thank you, Jared, and thank you, everyone. Pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for joining us. We have here in the audience staff and students and alumni, and we welcome you, our special guests, family members, and friends of our graduates. Thank you all for joining us. Because we have 3 of you here and we're honoring 4, I'm going to also share a few personal comments about each graduate. I typically don't do that since we have more on our list than a typical graduation, and so I'm going to share a few thoughts about you graduates. First off, day one. Do you graduates remember day one being in this room? Most likely. Sometimes we do it in the training room, but most likely here in this room, day one. Yeah. I remember day one, and among all the information that we shared with you, one thing that we shared was a great quote from Brene Brown. Do you remember this? Sometimes the bravest and most important thing you can do is just show up. And graduates, you have done that. And we are proud of you. And you've done far more than just show up. The second quote that we share with you on day one, we don't have to do all of it alone. We were never meant to. And I think you graduating here today, that you've been a great reflection of that. So there's a lot of thoughts that come to my mind when I think of our specific graduates today, and a couple things I want to share. One, Max, in addition to the fact that I love your suit, I think it's fantastic. 2 years ago, ScenicView, we had a gala, and Max constructed a pirate ship of recycled cardboard, and it stood right outside this room, right here to on this side, and there were people in awe. There were people that stood there and studied it. Some told me that they studied it for over 10-15 minutes, looking to see how it stood, because Max did not use any nails to get it constructed and have it be standing. I think it was a masterful piece of art and very, very impressive. That's just an example of one of the things that I think of when I think of Max. When I think of Philip, I think of bravery among many things, and I think Philip is extremely brave, and I appreciate his example of bravery and the things that he has chosen to do, including to have some international experience, which has been a goal of his, and he has chosen that and had some international experience, which I respect a lot. So I appreciate, Philip, your bravery. When I think of Colton, I think of Colton's energy and his fun and love for life, and I see not only what he exudes with that energy, but I love seeing the impact that it has on other people around him, and I think that's a gift. I think everything each thing that I mention with each of you graduates, I think those are gifts. Those are not just skills. Yes, they are skills, but it's more than that. I think those are gifts that all of you that you have. We're also honoring Stephen Hurst, who couldn't be here, who's in Alaska. And when I think of Stephen, I think of calm, quiet, patient, and kindness. And one thing that I love among many things with Stephen is I didn't hear him laugh very often. He was a very happy individual, but when I heard him laugh, he made me laugh because of his laugh that he had. And it was a delight to hear Stephen laugh, and I appreciate that in him. So to each of you graduates, thank you for your great example, for what you have, how you have influenced us as an organization and us as staff and us as your fellow students. And I thank you. And as I look at what you have accomplished and what you're even currently doing, each of you, I salute you and thank you. And I think that you are doing tremendous things and on a great pathway. And you'll hear in a few minutes from Carrie. and I encourage you to stay connected with our alumni organization and to stay connected with the activities and the fun, but it's more than fun. And a couple of closing thoughts that I'd like to give to you graduates, and that is, I hope that you stay teachable, continue to learn. Just because you're graduating from ScenicView, stay on that pathway of learning and expanding your minds. And life is wonderful when we continue to learn, so stay teachable. Another thing that I would invite you and encourage you to do, and that is to stay in a community with teamwork and with a team that's valuable to you. And you have that automatically as an alumni of ScenicView Academy, which you'll hear more about from Carrie, like I said. And there's tremendous value. Every one of us need teams, and we need community, and we need people around us to support us and to allow us to support them. That's part of the Thrive. As important as all of our areas, that is one of the important pieces, as we all know, of one of our units, one of our areas of service that we call Thrive. And that is to help us, not only with our hobbies and our interests, but also keep us connected with community, and that is so important. So with that, graduates, I congratulate you and thrilled to have you be part of the community of alumni at ScenicView Academy. Thank you all.
Okay, so we're going to go with graduations the way that they're listed here, which is alphabetical by first name. And the way it's going to work is this. We're going to ask the person to come down along with their intro speaker. So we'll start off with Colton and Steve White in a second, Max and then Aza and Philip, and it looks like it's going to be me because his service coordinator is really ill today and sends her regrets, and so I will be taking that one, which is great. Once the intro person has spoken, then graduates, you are free to take the mic and give us your goodbye thoughts, and then we will present your graduation certificates. Following that, we'll want to take a picture up here, so please hang out for a picture, and then after that, if you want to sit on stage, great. If you want to go back to the audience, also great. Do you. Okay, so hopefully with that cleared up, let's start off with our first graduate and have a big round of applause for Colton Weekly and Steve White. And my favorite memory of Colton is seeing him walk around with elf ears almost every day. It just brightens your day.
Already, though, huh? So, if it's all right, Colton, I'd like to, introduce you a little bit to everybody, and if you'll bear with me, just a little bit of parting advice.
For a grizzly bear or a polar bear with you?
Oh, yes. And so, when I first met Colton, I saw him at lunch. I wanted to sit down with him, and my first thought was, this would be a good target for a dad joke. And I proceeded to deliver the said dad joke, and in return, I think I received puns for the duration of the lunch period from him in a tsunami of great taste. And so, yeah, that's Colton. I think we spent hours upon hours upon hours together, going through things, and I just wish we had a little more time, And so, if you'll bear with me, I'd like to give you a little bit of parting advice for you and for anyone graduating who feels it would be apt or applicable. And so, I grew up in Texas. My family's from Texas, and my grandfather was an airplane pilot. And there was a time when my father was young, when he and his brother and my grandfather decided to come up here to Utah and some of the surrounding states for vacation, just to kind of see the sights and to get away from Texas for a little bit. And because he was a pilot, my grandfather removed the altimeter, the device that detects elevation, from his Cessna, and he installed it into his car. I don't remember what kind of car it was, but he did. And I think he had gotten pretty close to here when he mentioned to the back, "Look how high we are right now. Look how far up we've gotten." And my father was young, and he looked around, and the ground was there. We were in the bottom of a valley. And he goes, "Are we high?" And he goes, "Yes, we're a mile in the sky right now." And my dad was incredulous. He said, "What are you talking about? We haven't done anything like that." And so my grandfather pointed to the altimeter, and they had just hit a mile in elevation. And my dad was shocked enough to have kind of relayed that to me decades later. And so sometimes when we've been on a long journey, and a stressful journey, and an uphill journey, and we're tired, and we've worked really hard, it's very, very easy to look around and say, this has been wasted time, I've made no progress. Because any lasting progress isn't sudden, it's not instant, it's not noticeable, it's gradual. The universe is made of tiny particles, and things grow that persist little by little. And so I invite you to look at the great progress you've made, Colton. You've attended your work here in the morning. That's incredible to me. You've got a job that you attend frequently and consistently. You have an apartment lined up, and you have everything that you need to take care of everything involved with that process. And so I would just like to just remind you and anyone who's graduating today, you have made progress here, even if you don't notice it. It's big. And I'd like to give you a round of applause with everyone else here.
Well, this has, I think it was it last term? Last term it was you're gonna graduate, and then like 2 days later, actually, stuff changed with housing, and we're gonna hold on to you for a while longer. And so like, oh yes, we'll put you in the fourplex just temporarily until we move you to that outside apartment. Me proceeds to stay there for 2 or 3 terms. And honestly, if you had told me back when I first came to ScenicView that within the space of 6 to 8 months, I would make more friends than I've ever had in my life before combined, I probably would have looked at you like, are you high? Because I was not necessarily the most social person, and I am very introverted, despite what that may seem to the students here who know how outgoing I am. And the amount of friends I continued to gain and become better friends with, it was kind of shocking, honestly, because I've always had difficulty with friends in one way or another. And there was just so much about ScenicView that I've learned and that I've enjoyed, and so many people I've met who I'm going to remember for a very long time and some most likely until I'm all like, I'm gone. And then who knows, I might just start repeating their phrases as I haunt them, followed by a dad joke. But yeah, there was so much that I learned about here at ScenicView, both through things that they offered and things that it's all like, oh, that makes a whole lot more sense now that I'm not standing behind other people in a sort of metaphorical sense. And so I learned so many things, met so many people, and like, honestly, I used to look at the world in a very, very different way, a very narrow way. And now it's all like, yes, we had blinders upon blinders. Let's take those off. Although definitely at times people, my brain had to remind me with certain situations in terms of remembering them. It's like, dude, take off the rose-colored glasses. That was not a good time in your life. And I think that thanks to ScenicView, I actually believe I can have a life, not just survive, but actually live and thrive. And this has definitely been a lot of work, but I've had a lot of help. There's been lots of ups and downs, and honestly, I don't know if any other years are going to beat the years I spent at ScenicView, at least not for quite a while. These, I guess you could say these are my golden years that I've spent here. I am sad to be leaving because it, well, just puts distance between friends and various activities, and just learning more about different people. I am glad to like go and gain, I guess, more independence that way. But obviously I'm still a bit worried. And I'd like to thank all the people at ScenicView that have helped me. And this applies to like the students, not just the staff who have helped me. And this also goes to those who have graduated already or gotten other jobs. And so I guess I just want to say thank you to them. And I guess in terms to sort of end it, because like public speaking is not my strong suit. Jared, why were you surprised at the fact that you both froze? You live in Alaska, it's cold.
Freezing is the only option.
And anyway, yeah, I guess that's it.
Go down here.
Where am I?
Right down, right here.
Oh, am I real in the photo here?
He'll be back for Dungeons and Dragons. Our next graduate is the one and only Max Jones. Come on down. Oh, wait. In honor of Max Jones, we would like a complete awkward silence.
Well, I am thrilled to present Max today. Max has worked so hard at ScenicView has grown a lot. And I haven't had a chance to work with Max for very long, but the time that I have had has been very fun. Very, very fun. Max has learned a lot at ScenicView, but has especially learned to honor his personal journey while still being open to other perspectives. Many staff that I've talked to have remarked over his time here that Max continues to foster a growth mindset. Over the years, we've noticed him becoming more and more open to feedback and ideas that differ from his, which is something that's it's difficult for all of us. He doesn't shy away from challenges and learns from both his successes and mistakes with unwavering determination to accomplish his goals. He is also a generous person who greatly values his friends, and I've often heard of him making things for other people, helping other people out. The pirate ship at the gala is a prime example that Marty had shared. I've also heard of him making furniture for others. And this creativity and innovative spirit are also, I think, what makes him a perfect fit at his current job, where he is well loved and for good reason. And in the words of his therapist, his intellect and creativity will allow him to face any challenge he may face moving forward. We've learned a lot from your outlook on life, from your new focus on acceptance, gaining inner peace, from your drive and bravery to seek counsel on areas that you feel are your weaker points. As you prepare for this next stage of life, we want to thank you for the time that you've spent with us at ScenicView and for allowing us to be a part of your journey. We encourage you to keep discovering and feeding your many strengths and to continue to welcome the wisdom of those around you, as well as that of your own, which you have a lot of. So, congratulations, Max.
Hello. Thank you, Azza. Anyway, ladies and gentle cars of the jury, boys and girls, various other genders, which I haven't mentioned, but I'm sure exist. Well, I'd like us all to sort of look around the room. You can see that I am here. After playing a solid hour of Minecraft, I'm sitting here in the same place I was 2 years ago, except now I am up at the stage and I'm wearing a fish suit. And I'm staring down all of you because I've got a couple of things to say. How close am I supposed to be to this? I think that's right. Is that good? Okay. So maybe I should start at the beginning. I sat right there, sort of like where next to Z was, like in the big hole. And well, I remember I was surrounded by loads of people. Actually, ironically, none of whom are here now. And I think that'll bear repeating in a couple minutes when I'm done telling you all of the many things, or at least a brief summation of those. But it's not going to be like a list. I'm just going to go through it. I did, in fact, make an enormous ship. It took up vast amounts of my time, and I don't know why I did it, other than the fact that I thought it would be cool. I've grown ants. I've made things with printers. I've printed giant anime figurines. This has been quite a time in my life, to say the least. A lot of it had to do with making, but a lot of it had to do with destroying. I destroyed that ship right after I made it with anyone who would participate. And I think that sort of surmises my entire journey here. I built it to break it down. I made it just to kill it again. And I think I would be wrong to say that I'm like ending something or beginning something, because in fact, I think the greatest thing that I've learned here was more philosophical than it was sort of related to anything that I could like pick up in a book and like tell you like a Wikipedia page about, although there are many Wikipedia pages about this. It's that I guess that, I don't know, I used to hold on to so many things. I used to think that like the world would crumble if I took a wrong step or if something went out of place. And then I started you know, and then I realized there was this whole place where there was this whole spectrum of people who were not only very different from me, but somehow more similar than any other people in the entire world. And through that, I realized a great truth, if I do say so myself, which is that whatever is. We're all here because there isn't a reason. We're all just here. We all stepped through this door because we stepped through this door, and everything just exists because it exists. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to love it. I don't have to hate it. And I don't really have to say anything more about it. But I think I'll end by just saying that I'm thankful for everyone who propped me up along the way. I think that's teachers, parents, friends, passing remark people. I guess there might be a word for people like that. But I'm just happy to be, like I said, standing in a fish suit, staring everyone down after 2 years of what I guess people are telling me amounts to growth and progress. I'm finally, at the very end, I'm willing to believe them. Thank you.
Come down here.
We will really miss Max's ability to completely and ingeniously modify any environment that he is in, right down to all of the doors on his cabinets. It's just amazing. No, I think you guys would be shocked at the amount of intelligence. Actually, you probably wouldn't be shocked at the amount of intelligence our graduates have. I'm in awe. Speaking of awe, let's have Philip Ng come on up. Full confession, I gave Caitlin some really bad food yesterday, and that so that she wouldn't show up today. No, delete that from the records. I actually, when she asked me to speak, she was so apologetic, and I was like, Caitlin, it's okay, everybody gets sick, and also, it's kind of an honor to talk about Philip. Philip and I go way back, way back in the day when ScenicView was only partially residential. We would bring in day students who could just come and hang, and we still kind of have community classes that we'll do that with from time to time. But right out of high school, I got a call that was like, hey, we've got this high school graduate who has autism and needs to meet with you and come into ScenicView for some classes. And we were like, yeah, great, sure. And Philip came in, and we got to know him a little bit. And I think in the first year we knew each other, he talked to me twice. Said 2 things to me, maybe 2 things to me that first year. Luckily, I talk enough for any 10 people. And so we had a lot of great conversations with me talking. And Philip used ScenicView the way it's supposed to be used. ScenicView is a pit stop, okay? Now, it's a wonderful pit stop, and it has very clean bathrooms, but it is a pit stop, right? On the road of life, ScenicView is a place where you drive off to the side, and you're like, I think I might need like some gas in the tank and maybe some new tires, and this map I've got is kind of crappy, where am I heading? But we want to get you back on the road as fast as you can, right? And so Philip was here for a year or so, taking some classes, and then he was off. And the next thing I knew, I heard Philip was off in college in Virginia, and then he was off doing service in Salt Lake, and then he was at college in Utah and at Brigham Young University, and he was majoring in philosophy and German, because why not? Philosophy and German. And so then the next thing I knew, he's in Germany, and he's doing internships, and he's taking language exams, and he's considering grad school. And in the midst of all of that, he's learning so many things about being an autistic adult. And as an adult with autism who is also a parent of a child with autism who is just now graduating high school and just now starting his journey. He's right where Philip was when I first met Philip many years ago. The journey is not even. The journey is always lots of starts and stops, and one pit stop is often not enough. And that bravery that Marty was talking about, that bravery that Philip has always had, even though he doesn't believe it, that bravery got Philip to decide to do something that's incredibly difficult, which is to say, you know what? I think I want to enroll at ScenicView. I think I want to try this. And he came in knowing he was older than most of the students, came in knowing that he'd been here before, came in knowing that he had been that he was done with his college career and was thinking about grad school. But he was wise enough and humble enough to say, I think I need that pit stop. I think I need that pit stop. And again, we have spotless bathrooms, partly thanks to Philip's efforts on the custodial crew. But here's a guy with a degree in philosophy and German who's out there cleaning the bathrooms because we asked him to. And one of the things you need to know about Philip is that in 22 years of ScenicView history, Philip is the only student who never missed a class or an appointment or a work shift, ever. Not once. Not once. And Philip, as you go on, again, this is a step. I was asking Philip, well, what is this? And he's like, how do you see ScenicView? Because like Colton, like Max, he said, you know, I don't see the progress in me as much as everybody else seems to see it. But this was a chapter, and that chapter is closed. But the story is going on, and there's a new chapter. And I am so excited to see what your next chapter is. And coming out of ScenicView, you've got your own apartment, and it's way nicer than any apartment I ever had. And you've got a job that's within walking distance of your apartment, which is kind of sweet. And you've got skills and friends, and you've got hobbies and dreams and interests, and you're learning what it means to be you and your own values. And through it all, you've been honest and open and friendly and striving to be your best self and picking yourself up every time you fall down. And that is all any of us can ask on that journey of life. So we're grateful that we could have been a pit stop for you, but we are excited to hear more about your journey and about Colton and Max's and Stephen's journeys as you guys move on with life. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jared, and thanks for everyone who came here. I didn't actually plan on saying anything, but I figured I might as well. And so ScenicView has actually been a part of my life for actually about half of it, and that's not even an exaggeration. Like Jared said, I was just out of high school when I first learned about ScenicView, and I can't really imagine my life without it actually now. And even though I'm graduating, I'm sure it'll still be a part of me for the rest of my life, and that's great. I just want to thank all of everyone involved with ScenicView. That's students and the staff. This last year, since I was a full-time student, I got to know a lot of students, and it was just a really great experience to see and meet all these different people and their unique personalities and their unique strengths. And also, I'd just like to say about the staff that they're probably some of the best people you'll ever meet. I've been to places where like mental health services and other places like that, where I could tell that some of the staff were not really all that interested in their clients. And that's not the case here. Every single staff member I met here at ScenicView was 100% in it for you and for the people that they cared for. And they really did care for everyone. And I'm just really grateful for that. I'm glad I was able to come in here with shorts because I couldn't really find a good pair of pants. But again, that's another great thing about here is that you can just kind of be yourself, and I think that's just a great thing to be able to feel comfortable with who you are, and in this environment where you don't have to worry about judgment, that you can be yourself, and other people can appreciate that. There's probably a lot of other things I want to say, but I can't think of them right now. But I just wanted to say thanks to everyone, staff and students, and just the whole ScenicView community. So thanks. Thank you. Let's get a picture. Okay.
Thanks for coming out and supporting our graduates. We're going to have Carrie stay on up here and talk a little bit about next level services. Then we'll do a couple big photos, and I'll have a couple closing remarks that I promise to keep very short. So come on over, Carrie, and let's hear a little about graduate services.
Hello. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Carrie Bushman, and my job here at ScenicView is I support our graduates after graduation. So I want to talk to all of you about the future. Since you started here at ScenicView, we've kind of pounded into your head that you are going to live in the community after ScenicView. And community is a tricky word because there's kind of two different meanings to it. One is a location, so yes, right now ScenicView is located in the Provo-Orem community, or as the cool kids say, Provorum. But the other definition of community is more of a social category, so it's not as easy to see. But it's a group of people that are linked together by a common culture or a common value system. And so as you've come to learn, ScenicView is not just a school, but it's a community that you're part of. You live and work and socialize with a bunch of different people with a bunch of different responsibilities here at ScenicView. And you know our values very well. We believe that each of us is in charge of our own future. We believe in doing hard things because we know good things come from hard things. We believe in being flexible so that we can solve life challenges. But the most important value that I want you to take with you as you move on from ScenicView is that we all need each other. The ScenicView experience is more than just a school. Like I said, you're connecting to other people, you're connecting to local businesses and landlords and colleges and religious organizations and medical professionals, and you've mentioned friends today and other community organizations. We've kind of helped you build this support system to help you live in the community. But I want to remind you that regardless of whatever physical community you live in, you are still part of the ScenicView community. You may not see us as often, you may not, and parents and families, this goes for you too, but we want you to stay connected to us, and we need you to stay connected to us as part of our community. I have had the unique privilege this year of working on our 85 North apartment building downtown in downtown Provo. And that is a physical structure that has been designed to support our graduates and alumni. And it has absolutely warmed my heart to the point that I might get a little emotional here. But to see the alumni that have moved into that building and the students that have moved into that building become a community. I've watched them help each other move furniture and heavy boxes. I've watched them lend vehicles to help those who don't have one move their stuff. I've seen them recycling boxes because they know somebody else is moving after them and they're sharing the boxes with them. They've helped each other get their internet set up or their utilities put in their name. They're carpooling to work and they're carpooling to school. And I'm just so proud of them because that came from them. There weren't any like hard and fast instructions about what to do, but they understood because they'd been here, this is what a community does. We all need each other and we all need to help each other. And so having an actual building downtown, 85 North, is to me a symbol. It's a physical monument, like right in the middle of the city, that says, we belong here. Those of, being neurodivergent can be isolating and it can be hard sometimes. But I hope that all of you students and alumni and staff and parents and families, when you see that building, that you think of it that way, as a monument for all that you have done, all the hard things you've done, the sacrifices you've made, because it's taken all of us to make this project happen. And so even if you're not living there, I hope that if you drive by or if you happen to see it, that you think, hey, yeah, I helped with that. And so it's been a beautiful thing, and it doesn't matter if when you leave here you need help. Like we talked about ScenicView being a pit stop. It can be a pit stop for you. Or it can just be a drive-by. Sometimes you just need help with one little thing. You come by, we get you fixed up, and you're on your way. Because we're your community, and we have your back. And so we have alumni services here that can help with employment, or we can help you troubleshoot your systems, or if you need to see a therapist, or whatever you need to live your best life and to accomplish your fullest potential. We want you to continue to be part of us, whether it's giving or whether it's taking. We all do it and we all need it. And so I loved that Jared started with celebrating, because this really is a time to celebrate. And I want to take just a second, and if you're an alumni, would you do me a favor and stand up? There's a few out in the lobby as well. But they are such a great example of community supporting community. None of them is graduating today. They don't need to be here, but they recognize that they're part of this community and that they are supporting those that come after them. You guys can sit down, thank you. So for those of you who are graduating, again, we're celebrating you. You're leveling up to a bigger community, but you're still one of us. So please come back and see us now and then. So if you are a graduate or an alumni, we have a tradition where we like to take a photo. So if you would come up here. It's another opportunity to get a photo of that fish suit. And we just like you.
There is no diversity like neurodiversity. All right. Okay, we're right here, right at 5 o'clock, and I said we were going to try to wrap up around 5. So I've got 3 quotes I'm going to give you because it's graduations and it's a time to share quotes. And then we'll go for snacks. And then after the snacks, stick around because at 5:30, we're going to have our end of term student showcase. So all of our students who've worked hard on creative projects all term, whether that's vocal performance or musical performance or artwork or whatever, there's going to be a showcase of that at 5:30. So stick around and support that. But 3 quotes. The first quote, in honor of Philip, because I didn't know I was going to be talking about him, is a Simpsons quote, because so much of our relationship has been Simpsons quotes. Homer Simpson has said a lot of very inspirational things, and one of them is, "All my life I've had one dream, to achieve my many goals." And that made me laugh probably harder than almost any Simpsons quote I've heard, because we all think of goals as like, oh yeah, I'm gonna achieve all of them. We're gonna do all the things. And as an autistic person, my brain sees all the details, and so there's an unlimited, infinite number of little things that excite me that I want to do before my time's up on this little planet. And of course we can't. We can't do all the goals. And even as we go for all the goals, a lot of them weren't going to be achieved. I was going to be an astronaut. That was literally my goal for a very long time. And then I was going to be a chemical engineer, and then I was going to be a public school teacher, and then I ended up here, and it's great. So let me share my second quote. "Goals are a means to an end, not the ultimate purpose in our lives. They are simply a tool to concentrate our focus and move us in a direction. The only reason we really pursue goals is to cause ourselves to expand and grow. Achieving goals by themselves will never make us happy in the long term. It's who we become as we overcome the obstacles necessary to achieve our goals that gives us the deepest and most long-lasting sense of fulfillment." And it really sounds cheesy, but it is that ineffable philosophy stuff Max was talking about. It's who we become along the way as we strive for our goals. It's what happens to us while we're busy making other plans. As John Lennon said, that's my secret 4th quote that I'll sneak in, that really matter. So have goals and go for those goals. And don't worry about whether or not you even get the goal, but just keep moving toward it and toward your best self. So while I'm cheating, I'm going to add one more quote by Benjamin Franklin. "The man who takes action makes many mistakes, but he never makes the biggest mistake of all, doing nothing." We're going to make mistakes, but there's no mistake bigger than not making mistakes, no mistake bigger than not taking action. And so again, as you start this next chapter in life, go take action. And then my last quote I'm going to steal from Neil Gaiman, who's one of my favorite authors, and he is simply my favorite commencement speaker for this quote that he gave at a college graduation a few years ago. He looked out at all of these thousands of graduates at this college, and he said, "And now, graduates, go. Go and make interesting mistakes, make amazing mistakes, make glorious and fantastic mistakes. Leave the world more interesting for your having been there." Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You know from ScenicView that you can fall down and get back up again, and if you ever need it bad enough, come back for another pit stop, or use the alumni services Carrie's talking about. But get out there and live your best life, tell your best story, because no one else has ever lived your life, and no one else can write your story. Thanks for letting ScenicView be a part of your story. Thanks for being here tonight, and stick around for the student showcase. Thanks, everybody.